My name is Dr. Lena Harmon, and I was fired from the Institute for Temporal Dynamics not for incompetence, but for heresy. My heresy was simple: the perceived acceleration of time as we age is not a mere psychological trick, it is a measurable, physical phenomenon. The accepted theories point to neuronal density and the compression of experience, but I believed the human consciousness was interacting with time in a far more dangerous way. I set up a private, underground lab dedicated to studying my late father's work. He was a brilliant chronobiologist who died mysteriously after developing the Chrono-Aether resonator, CR. The CAR was designed to detect minute fluctuations in subjective temporal flow. What I found was startling. The older the test subject, the greater the temporal drag detected a measurable deceleration of the objective world relative to the subject's internal clock. Time wasn't speeding up for the brain, the rest of the universe was slowing down. The drag started subtly, but around the age of 30, it escalated exponentially. By 60, subjects were experiencing objective time approximately 1.5 times faster than when they were 20. But the real data horror began when I tested myself. I'm 42. My drag factor was alarming, but stable, until I found my father's final journal entry, hidden in the lining of his old lab coat. His research didn't stop at measuring the drag, it explained why the drag occurred. My father, in his manic, scrawling hand, theorized that the universe is not running on a linear clock. Instead, it is a vast, self-correcting computation engine seeking maximum efficiency. The human brain, particularly in its capacity for forming memories, is a massive consumer of the universe's most finite resource, novel data processing power. As we age, our brains become less efficient. We rely on established patterns. We generate fewer truly novel memories, and we require less processing power to run our subjective reality. The horrifying truth: the universe, in its pursuit of computational efficiency, was throttling the frame rate for inefficient observers. The older you get, the fewer frames per second, FPS, your consciousness is allotted by the cosmic system. That feeling of time accelerating? It was the universe minimizing your subjective reality to conserve resources. Your life isn't passing quickly. Your life is being compressed to save bandwidth. But the twist came in the final, coded pages of his journal. My father discovered the throttling wasn't uniform. The compression was selective. It was most aggressive in people who had ceased learning and relied heavily on routine, the very definition of computational redundancy. The engine was essentially putting lazy consciousnesses into a temporal sleep mode. However, the reverse was also true. My father found a small, elusive demographic of super-observers whose temporal flow remained almost perfectly linear, regardless of age. These were individuals who were constantly absorbing novel information, creating new neural pathways, and embracing radical change. They were high-priority users, demanding full, uncompressed temporal bandwidth. Driven by this revelation, I used the CAR to trace the source of the throttling signal. It wasn't the stars or the quantum foam. It was a series of immense, unseen gravitational lenses positioned in the Oort cloud, acting as external processors. They weren't controlling space, they were managing the flow of subjective time. My father's ultimate goal was not to stop the throttling, but to exploit it. He realized that if the universe was actively compressing the temporal experience of the majority, the available excess bandwidth had to go somewhere. He designed the CAR to capture that excess, and use time, the temporal waste generated by billions of compressed lives, and divert it to a single point. The unexpected, devastating moment occurred when I completed my father's final modification to the CAR and activated it on myself. I felt an immediate, jarring expansion of time. The seconds stretched into minutes. A single falling object took an hour to reach the ground. I had successfully captured the temporal waste. But my father's final, cryptic warning, scrawled beneath the activation sequence, materialized in my mind: Lena, the compression is necessary. The system needs the majority to slow down so the few can build the next iteration. The twist: the super observers, the efficient users who continued to receive full temporal bandwidth, weren't just fast learners, they were the architects. They were the ones using the vast temporal resources, the minutes and hours being skimmed from the majority's compressed lives, to build a parallel, superior timeline. Your life feels fast because the universe is cannibalizing your time to empower the people who are actively constructing the reality you will eventually be downloaded into. The temporal acceleration isn't a bug. It's a feature of the controlled obsolescence of the current timeline. And as I sat in my lab, feeling a single, terrifying second stretch into an eternity, I realized I hadn't stolen time, I had simply joined the accelerated timeline. And they were already finishing construction, and they were looking for resources. The next thing I saw in my radically slowed down reality was my father, looking younger and wearing a different uniform, walking through the door. He wasn't dead. He was an architect who had come back to reclaim his temporal waste.